The void between stars is rarely empty. Even in the vastness of deep space, a ship's sensors detect particles, radiation, and gravitational fluctuations, subtle signs of the universe's restless energy. But nothing in Captain James T. Kirk's experience aboard the USS Enterprise could have prepared him for the anomaly that suddenly tore through subspace, twisting warp currents like a hurricane in a calm sea. "Captain," Spock's voice was calm, though the tricorder's readouts flickered erratically. "Our warp trajectory has intersected an unknown spatial rift. Structural integrity remains nominal, but temporal and dimensional readings suggest we are no longer within the parameters of the known galaxy." Kirk stood, fists gripping the railing. "Explain in plain English, Spock. Are we dead, or just somewhere unfriendly?" Spock's sharp eyes met his. "Neither, Captain. We are somewhere different. Sensors detect energy signatures inconsistent with Federation physics. Preliminary hypothesis. The rift has transported us to a parallel galactic system with foreign energy dynamics. Life forms may exist, but operational probability of safe navigation is uncertain." McCoy muttered from behind them, his medical tricorder clutched like a talisman. "Great. So we're not dead yet, but in some alien hell of physics that'll make my head spin." Before Kirk could respond, the view screen lit up with an object that defied classification. A city of towers gleamed beneath a turquoise sky, stretching across a sprawling, planet-wide metropolis. Republic starships swept in formation above, blasters arcing in skirmishes with swarms of unfamiliar droid fighters. The Enterprise lurched as the subspace currents tangled with local gravity fields, nearly throwing the bridge crew off balance. "Sensors confirm orbital presence of a major capital world, Captain," Spock noted. "Atmosphere and energy signatures resemble Republic-identified parameters, yet we detect anomalies suggestive of advanced technology beyond known Republic engineering. The planetary defense network is active, and multiple vessels are engaged in hostile maneuvers." Kirk's jaw tightened. "Spock, we need to know if we're being targeted or if they're just at war." Spock adjusted his console. "Difficult to determine. The presence of force-sensitive beings may explain the unusual readings. Our systems are partially inhibited by ambient energy fluctuations consistent with force activity. Weapons, shields, and transporters function at reduced efficiency. Tactical advantage is compromised." The captain took a deep breath. "All right, people. First rule, we don't fire unless fired upon. Second rule, figure out what the hell just threw us into this galaxy. Third rule, don't die." A flicker on the main view screen drew Kirk's attention. A figure stood atop a Republic cruiser, robed and commanding, staff in hand, his presence unmistakably force-imbued. Yoda, small but radiant with power, surveyed the skies, sensing the Enterprise with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Kirk's stomach sank. This was no ordinary first contact. "Captain," Spock said, "I recommend initiating a communication protocol with the planetary authorities. Standard diplomatic hailing may not suffice. However, the probability of misinterpretation is high. We are an unknown vessel of foreign origin appearing in a highly militarized orbital theater. Caution is advised." Kirk nodded, the familiar spark of determination lighting his eyes. "Open a channel. Let's show them we're explorers, not invaders. Spock, get a clean visual of Yoda. I want to understand exactly who we're dealing with before anyone fires a laser." As communications hummed, McCoy leaned toward Kirk. "Jim, I don't like this. A planet full of armed Jedi, clones, and droids. We could be mistaken for aggressors in the first 30 seconds. Kirk smirked, despite the tension. "Bones, that's why we're the Enterprise crew. We adapt, we survive, and we make it through whatever the galaxy throws at us, first." Across the bridge, Troy's voice chimed softly, detecting currents in the Force that even Spock's sensors could not fully quantify. "Captain, the energy here is unlike anything your crew has encountered. It's pervasive, intelligent in a way, testing us. Be mindful. Any aggressive action could ripple across the planet below. Kirk straightened. Understood. Crew, this is our new mission. Observe, communicate, adapt. We don't know this galaxy, but we do know how to survive and how to lead when circumstances demand it. Enterprise, let's show them what we're made of. Above the city world, the Enterprise shimmered under the strange stars of a galaxy far, far away. The rift had brought them here without choice, but how they would act, and whether they would be friends, foes, or something entirely new, would define their place in this alien, war-torn universe. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, Kirk said, turning to his crew, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The stars beyond Coruscant flickered, storming with possibility, and the first contact had only just begun. High above the gleaming towers of Coruscant, the USS Enterprise hovered, a solitary anomaly in a sea of Republic starships. The bridge was tense with anticipation. Sensors flickered as Spock attempted to compensate for the pervasive Force interference, while Kirk's gaze stayed fixed on the city world below. Every decision mattered. One misstep could turn the Jedi, the clones, or even Palpatine himself against them. On the upper levels of the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda and Mace Windu stood together, deep in council. "Unusual this presence is," Yoda said, ears twitching as the Force vibrated with alien energy. "Beyond our understanding, their power lies. Technology it is, yet controlled with discipline, yes." "They are not Force-sensitive," Windu replied, voice taut with caution. "But their energy signatures, artificial, yet resonant with the Force in ways I cannot explain. Alert the Council, Yoda. We must understand whether this is threat or unknown potential ally." Back on the Enterprise, communications channels clicked as a Jedi cruiser approached. Kirk straightened. "Open a hailing frequency," he ordered. "Let's talk before anyone shoots." Spock's fingers moved over the console. "Channel established. Visual transmission stable, though ambient interference distorts energy fields. Recommend careful phrasing to avoid misinterpretation." Kirk leaned forward, adjusting his tone to match the gravitas of a diplomatic encounter. "This is Captain James T. Kirk of the United Federation of Planets. We come in peace. Our presence here is the result of an unexpected spatial anomaly, and our intentions are exploratory, not hostile." On the Jedi cruiser, the transmission projected onto a panel. Yoda's diminutive figure studied it carefully. "Strange these beings are," he murmured. "Peaceful, they claim. Judge by deeds we must," Spock interjected. "Captain, their sensors are reading us as highly armed and mobile. Despite our peaceful intent, probability of misinterpretation remains significant. Diplomatic maneuvering is critical at this juncture." McCoy muttered from the side. "Jim, you think anyone's going to believe a giant flying saucer full of humans and a green pointy-eared guy isn't a threat?" "Bones, that's why we show restraint and competence," Kirk replied. "We prove we're not here to conquer, but to survive and understand." On Coruscant, clone troopers assembled on the bridges of the Republic vessels, scanning for any abnormal energy patterns. Cody spoke with urgency. "Unidentified ship approaching the capital. Shields partially active, weapons unknown. Jedi, what is your assessment?" Yoda's ears twitched, sensing both the crew's intent and the strange resonance of their technology. "Intent, I feel, peaceful it is. Yet danger, possible. Observe closely. We must." The Jedi Council convened holocrons and star charts. Spock's tricorder analysis, transmitted through the hailing channel, revealed unexpected correlations between the Enterprise's power systems and the ambient force field. "Captain," Spock noted, "the energy emanating from our warp core interacts with the force field. While it is not harmful, it may be perceived as an offensive measure. Calibrated modulation could reduce misinterpretation." Kirk nodded. Adjust phasers and shields to low signature. Keep them calm, Spock. And maintain full readiness, just in case. Troy spoke quietly, sensing currents of emotion across the communication channel. Captain, the Jedi are cautious, but curious. They're testing our morality as much as our intentions. Any misstep could trigger a defensive reaction. Kirk's gaze hardened. Then we pass the test. Show restraint, show respect, and show capability. That's how the Enterprise survives in unknown galaxies. Suddenly, a warning blared. Multiple droid starfighters had emerged from hyperspace above Coruscant, their weapons already tracking both the Republic fleet and the Enterprise. General Grievous had arrived. "Phasers ready," Kirk said sharply. "Shields to 70%, all power to engines if needed. Spock, calculate evasive maneuvers. We may not be force-sensitive, but we can still fight smart." Spock's hands moved over the console. Probability of survival without engagement. Low. Evasive vector calculated. Minimal collateral damage to planetary structures. Achievable. Tactical advantage achievable with coordinated phaser volleys and Republic starship support. Kirk exhaled and turned to his crew. "This is it. Observation ends now. Survival begins. Enterprise, engage when necessary. But remember, diplomacy is still our first weapon. Science, ethics, and courage. That's how we operate." From the Jedi Temple, Yoda watched the unfolding chaos, feeling the ripple of unknown forces. Strange, these visitors are. Wise they seem. Yet power they wield. Understand we must before action taken is. The stars above Coruscant trembled with anticipation. The first contact between the USS Enterprise and the Star Wars galaxy was not just about diplomacy, it was a collision of philosophies, technology, and morality. And above all, it was only the beginning. The transporter room hummed with unfamiliar energy. Kirk felt a familiar tug as he and a small away team materialized aboard a Republic cruiser in orbit above Coruscant. The room smelled faintly of ozone and heated metal, but the true dissonance came from the crew of clone troopers at attention, blasters raised, and Jedi masters standing in deliberate silent judgment. "Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise," intoned a tall Jedi, his blade unlit but radiating authority. "You have appeared without warning in our space. Explain your presence." Kirk raised his hands slowly as Spock's voice echoed from a comm device clipped to his uniform. "We come in peace. An experimental warp drive malfunction sent our vessel into your galaxy. We mean no harm to the Republic, its citizens, or the Jedi Order. Our systems are partially disabled, and we seek guidance and safe harbor." The clones shifted nervously, their armor glinting under the overhead lights. Captain Cody stepped forward. "Sir, the ship is heavily armed. Their shields and weapons are not standard Republic issue. How do we know they are telling the truth?" Kirk's gaze met the Jedi Master's calm eyes. "You don't. And that's fair. That's why we're here. To communicate, to cooperate, and to demonstrate that our intentions are not hostile. We are explorers, scientists, diplomats, and yes, soldiers when necessary. But we do not attack without cause." Spock stepped forward, tricorder in hand, projecting holographic readings of the ship and its energy output. "Masters, our vessel's energy signature resonates in ways not naturally occurring in this galaxy. While we lack force sensitivity, our technology can detect the force's influence on matter and energy. Initial analysis suggests the force is an ambient field interacting with our systems, not a weapon directed at your people. We pose no immediate threat." Yoda's ears twitched. Peaceful, they claim. Truth in words, difficult to discern. Sense, I must in their actions, yes. "Your technology is alien," admitted Mace Windu, his tone careful. "But your words are measured. We will allow you to demonstrate non-aggression, though the Council remains wary." This galaxy is at war, and appearances can deceive. Kirk nodded. Understood. Spock, provide a detailed demonstration of defensive systems and calibration procedures. We will not surprise you with weaponized action. The Vulcan officer's fingers danced across the console, sending data directly to the Jedi Council holocoms. Holographic diagrams displayed shield harmonics, phaser output ranges, and transporter safety fields. Even Jedi sensitive to energy fluctuations could perceive that the crew's power was disciplined, controlled, and devoid of malice. McCoy, arms crossed, muttered to Kirk, "I hope they buy it, Jim. One false move, and we're cannon fodder for their clones." Troy's voice added a subtle note of reassurance. "They sense your intent, Captain. The Jedi weigh both logic and feeling. They may remain cautious, but they are evaluating your character, not just your firepower." Kirk's eyes met Spock's. "Good. Let's make sure we earn their trust. I don't want to make enemies where diplomacy can succeed." The debate among the Council continued. Some Jedi Masters argued for isolation, suggesting the Enterprise should remain in orbit, observed but not integrated. Others noted the crew's scientific knowledge and tactical skill as potential assets against the Separatists. "Agree we must," Yoda said, stepping forward. "Tested by actions, not words. A chance they deserve, yes." Kirk exhaled slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "Then we'll comply. We demonstrate good faith, we follow guidance, and we adapt. Enterprise crew, remember, this is first contact at its most dangerous. One wrong step, and the galaxy won't hesitate to respond." Spock added, almost as an afterthought, "Captain, we must also consider the ethical ramifications of exposure to this galaxy's war. Clone production, Sith manipulation, and Jedi tactics may challenge our moral framework. Decisions here will resonate beyond immediate survival." Kirk's gaze swept the room. "Agreed, Spock. We're not here to impose our values blindly, but we're also not here to ignore injustice when it's right in front of us. That's the delicate balance we'll have to maintain." As the Enterprise crew prepared to move under Jedi supervision, a warning siren sounded across the Republic cruiser. Droid starfighters were detected near the orbiting city, weapons charged, moving with terrifying precision. "Looks like we won't be sitting through polite introductions for long," Kirk muttered, his eyes hardening with resolve. "Enterprise, get ready. This galaxy may test more than our diplomacy. It's testing our resolve, our ethics, and our ability to survive in a war that isn't ours yet." Outside the cruiser, the stars beyond Coruscant shimmered with incoming conflict, and the first true test of the Federation crew's adaptability was about to begin. On the shadowed halls of Sereno, Count Dooku observed the latest transmissions from the Republic fleet. His tall frame cast a slender shadow against the holographic display, where images of the USS Enterprise flickered between phases of orbiting Coruscant and the tactical reports transmitted by the Jedi. His eyes, sharp and calculating, reflected more curiosity than concern. "So," Dooku murmured to himself, "these outsiders have entered our theater of operations. Advanced technology beyond the Republic's, and yet they claim neutrality. How convenient for them, or for me." The Sith Lord studied the readouts with meticulous care. Starfleet ships, warp drive propulsion, energy shields, systems entirely incompatible with droid sensors and blaster targeting protocols. Unlike Jedi or Sith, these beings relied purely on rational analysis, their power measured in computation and logic. But Dooku recognized immediately the tactical opportunity. A weaponized alliance of intellect, if properly manipulated, could tip the balance in ways the Separatists alone could not achieve. "Send word to my agents," Dooku instructed, his voice smooth, almost casual. "Monitor the newcomers, gather their movements, understand their behavior, and determine their weaknesses. If they can be persuaded, the advantages will be most..." Profitable. Meanwhile, in orbit above Coruscant, the Enterprise crew prepared for their first practical demonstration of goodwill. Kirk stood on the transporter pad, eyes sweeping the Jedi, the clones, and the vast city beneath. Spock, let's make sure our sensors and shields are in clear view. We want them to see we're capable of defense but not aggression. Spock's fingers moved across the console, deploying holographic schematics of the Enterprise's shield harmonics and phased arrays directly to the Jedi Council. Probability of misinterpretation minimized, he said. Though I would note, Captain, that ambient force fields may still perceive energy signatures as threatening. Caution is advised. McCoy muttered under his breath. I don't like being the star attraction of some Jedi science experiment. Troy's empathic senses picked up the undercurrents in the council chambers. They are skeptical, but intrigued. The Jedi Masters are weighing intention against potential threat. Their curiosity is palpable. They want proof, but they are also testing morality and reaction. Kirk nodded, taking a deep breath. Then let's show them what we do best. Restraint, intelligence, and ethical action. We make allies, not enemies, without sacrificing principles. Spock's tricorder chirped insistently. Captain, I am detecting unusual activity outside the orbital corridor. Energy signatures indicate Separatist droid formations, likely scanning for weaknesses. They have identified the Enterprise, but do not yet comprehend the threat posed by our technology. Kirk's jaw tightened. Then it's only a matter of time before we have company. Prepare phasers to defensive mode, shields at 60%, engines primed for evasive maneuvers. This galaxy has rules we don't understand yet, but we can adapt faster than anyone expects. Dooku's presence loomed over the chessboard of conflict even from afar. He recognized that the Federation crew's non-force methodology could be exploited, manipulated even, to serve his political and military ends. They are neither Jedi nor Sith, he mused. Rational, intelligent, bound by their own code of ethics, yet that very code may be the key to bending them to purpose if persuasion is applied carefully. Influence, not force, will sway them, and once swayed, the galaxy itself may yield to my advantage. On Coruscant, Jedi Master Windu spoke gravely. We must keep the Enterprise in observation. While their presence seems non-hostile, the war is not static. Count Dooku is calculating every move. He will not ignore these outsiders if he senses utility or threat. We must ensure the Republic fleet and the Enterprise remain coordinated. Kirk met Spock's gaze. The Separatists are watching. Dooku's aware of us now. I want contingency plans for every scenario, defensive, evasive, and diplomatic. And Spock, keep analyzing everything about this force thing. We need to understand it before it surprises us. Spock's voice was calm, precise. Affirmative, Captain. Probability of hostile engagement within the next 20 standard minutes. Significant. Optimal outcome achievable if energy resonance and tactical coordination are managed correctly. As the first droid starfighters emerged from hyperspace, the stars around Coruscant lit with streaks of laser fire, and the Enterprise crew realized their first test was not only diplomacy, but survival against a galaxy that operated under rules neither Federation logic nor Starfleet experience had fully prepared them for. Kirk stood on the observation deck of the Republic cruiser, watching the vast expanse of Coruscant's orbit below. Clone troopers moved in perfect synchrony, their armor gleaming, their blasters already primed for engagement with Separatist droid formations. The Enterprise crew, trained to observe, adapt, and only intervene when necessary, felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on them. The clones, McCoy muttered, voice low. They're bred for this. No choice, no hesitation, no mercy, just programmed soldiers. I don't know whether to admire it or be horrified. Spock's calm voice cut through. Emotionally, Doctor, your reaction is logical. From an ethical standpoint, the production of sentient beings for warfare challenges fundamental moral frameworks. Captain, this situation tests the limits of Federation non-interference policy. Kirk's jaw tightened. Prime Directive always has been our guide. Do not interfere with the natural development of civilizations. But these beings, they are alive, and their lives are being orchestrated by political manipulation, not natural evolution. Does that principle still apply when morality itself is compromised? Troy's empathic insight added nuance. Captain, I sense fear and hope both. The clones understand duty, yet they are aware of being tools. The Force influences the Jedi and the clones, yet your crew operates purely by choice. The ethical dilemma is magnified by perspective, ours versus theirs. Kirk paced slowly. We were thrown into this galaxy by accident. But even in accidents, consequences exist. Watching those clones march, they are soldiers. Yes, but also sentient. If we intervene, do we save lives or disrupt the natural order of this galaxy? Spock's hands hovered over the console. Observation is currently the safest approach. Engagement introduces variables beyond our predictive models, including Jedi reaction, Republic military escalation, and Separatist strategic responses. However, moral calculus suggests intervention may be ethically justified if loss of life can be reduced. McCoy groaned. You're telling me that in some galaxy far, far away, the Prime Directive is more like a suggestion? Bones, this isn't Starfleet regulations. This is worse. Kirk nodded, eyes narrowing as he considered the scenario. It's worse because the stakes are real, and the consequences immediate. But we have one advantage. They don't fully understand us. Our technology gives us options they can't predict. We can tip the scales subtly without outright interference. We just have to decide where we draw the line. Spock's tricorder pinged softly. Captain, I am detecting operational inefficiencies among the clone formations. Tactical intervention could neutralize imminent threats from droid forces, minimizing casualties. Probability of success, high. Risk of Jedi disapproval, moderate. Kirk exhaled slowly. Then it settled. We act discreetly. Target the droids, protect the clones, and avoid detection. We'll save lives without revealing our presence as anything other than an unusual anomaly. Spock, calculate phaser vectors for orbital strike that minimizes collateral damage. McCoy, ready medbays for incoming clone casualties. Everyone else, prepare for rapid engagement. As the crew moved into position, a holographic transmission flickered onto the bridge. Count Dooku's tall, imposing figure appeared, calm, yet menacing. Fascinating, he said. Your presence in this theater of war is unanticipated. But every choice has consequences, Captain. Choose wisely and perhaps you may survive. Fail, and your entire crew will serve as instruments in a galaxy that does not tolerate neutrality. Kirk clenched his jaw, voice steady. We don't serve anyone but our principles. We adapt, we protect, and we survive. But we will not be pawns. Dooku's image faded, leaving the Enterprise crew to their deliberations. The clones were advancing toward Separatist positions, unaware of the advanced technology lurking in orbit above. Kirk's mind raced, not with tactical algorithms, but with ethical quandaries. Every action could save lives, but every action could also unbalance the fragile political equilibrium of this galaxy. Captain, Spock noted, the engagement window is closing. Probability of droid assault breaching the outer perimeter is imminent. Delay may result in unnecessary casualties. Kirk's decision was made, firm yet measured. Engage phasers subtly. Protect the clones. Maintain stealth. No Jedi entanglement unless absolutely necessary. This is our Prime Directive now, not blindly following rules, but choosing the path that preserves life while respecting the integrity of this galaxy. Outside the observation deck, stars shimmered with battle energy. Droids streaked across Coruscant's orbit, blaster fire arcing toward clone formations. The Enterprise, hidden in plain view, would soon demonstrate that even in a galaxy dominated by force, technology, and choice could tip the balance, without betraying the very principles that defined Starfleet. The calm of Coruscant's orbit shattered with a sudden flare of laser fire. Droids streamed from hyperspace, spinning toward the Republic fleet with mechanical precision, and among them, a figure of legend. General Grievous. 4 arms brandishing deadly lightsabers, the cyborg menace cut through Republic escorts like a storm, forcing clone troopers into chaotic formations. Kirk's eyes narrowed. "All hands, battle stations, shields up to maximum, phasers to defensive targeting. Spock, calculate evasive maneuvers for optimal survival while minimizing planetary damage." Spock's hands moved with precision, adjusting shield harmonics as the Enterprise shuddered under gravitational fluctuations. "Captain, Grievous's vectors are unconventional. Engagement requires adaptive phaser alignment and predictive targeting. Probability of survival without evasion, low. Tactical advantage exists if we exploit droid formation algorithms." McCoy muttered, gripping a console. "I knew it wouldn't stay calm for long. Jim, I don't like this galaxy." "Bones. We survive because we adapt," Kirk replied, voice tight. "Spock, coordinate with the Republic cruisers. We're not here to take sides, just to survive and protect." Spock's tricorder beeped rapidly. "Captain, droid targeting systems are highly efficient but predictable. Phaser volleys combined with tactical maneuvering can disrupt their formation. Shields must be modulated in sync with ambient force fluctuations, or we risk system overload." Kirk nodded. "Do it. Phasers at 80% output. Shields synchronized with force readings. Engage." The Enterprise surged forward, energy shields shimmering against the flurry of droid lasers. Phaser beams lanced through the void, hitting multiple droid fighters and sending them spinning in uncontrolled arcs. Grievous twisted mid-flight, his lightsabers slicing at incoming blaster fire, forcing Kirk to adjust vectors constantly. On the bridge, Spock's fingers danced across the console. "Captain, if we engage Grievous directly, probability of hull breach increases by 37%. Suggest continued suppression of droid formations while maintaining distance from the cyborg general." Kirk's jaw clenched. "Agreed. Keep him at a distance. Disrupt his forces, protect the Republic fleet, and avoid direct confrontation unless absolutely necessary." Troy's empathic insight added urgency. "Captain, I sense fear among the clones, yes, but also courage. They rely on the Jedi and Republic fleet. Any heavy casualties could destabilize morale instantly." Kirk's eyes scanned the battlefield. "We tip the scales without dominating the fight. Spock, predict the next droid assault vector. McCoy, prep emergency med bays for any incoming Republic or civilian casualties." As the Enterprise maneuvered expertly, a sudden flare caught Kirk's attention. Grievous had targeted a Republic cruiser, cutting through shields with ruthless efficiency. Kirk's mind raced. "Spock, vector intercept. We can't let him destroy that cruiser. Engage phasers, maximum efficiency, minimal collateral." Spock adjusted targeting arrays, firing precise bursts that disabled droid engines without causing explosions that would damage the planet below. Grievous roared in frustration, swinging his 4 sabers in a blur. The cyborg general had never faced a threat like this. Intelligent, adaptive, non-force reliant, yet supremely competent. McCoy muttered, "I never thought I'd say this, but I kinda like fighting alongside these Jedi, sort of." Kirk smirked. "Don't get sentimental, Bones. We survive, we adapt, we lead. That's enough sentiment for today." Outside the Enterprise, stars were streaked with laser fire, explosions lighting up Coruscant's orbit. Droid fighters tumbled through space, some spiraling into the planet's atmosphere harmlessly, others obliterated by perfectly timed phaser bursts. Grievous, frustrated and calculating, adjusted his approach, realizing these newcomers were not merely another Republic threat. They were a force unto themselves, unpredictable and precise. "Captain," Spock said, "analysis indicates droid formations are destabilized. Grievous is seeking new vectors. We have created an opportunity for the Republic fleet to counterattack. Probability of mission success is favorable, provided we maintain defensive posture." Kirk's eyes hardened with resolve. "Then we hold our line. Enterprise crew, this is what we trained for. Adapt, survive, protect. That's how we navigate a galaxy that isn't ours. Yet." Above the chaos, the first true demonstration of Federation efficiency, precision, and ethical warfare unfolded, showing even a galaxy dominated by the force that intelligence, strategy, and moral restraint could tip the scales against overwhelming odds. Far above Coruscant, in the gilded shadows of the Senate chambers, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine observed the chaos unfolding in orbit with cold, calculating eyes. The reports came in piecemeal. An alien starship, shields flickering, phaser fire disrupting Separatist formations, the Republic fleet bolstered by unexpected precision. Intrigue replaced concern. These outsiders were neither Jedi nor Sith, yet their presence, unexpected, uncontrolled, was already reshaping the battlefield. "They are competent," Palpatine murmured, his voice a silky whisper in the empty chamber. "Resourceful, adapting to the Force without understanding it. Interesting, dangerous." He leaned closer to the holo projector, revealing the Enterprise's bridge in real time. Kirk stood at the command console, Spock's fingers gliding across displays, McCoy muttering in frustration, and Troy observing the currents of morale and emotion with practiced care. Palpatine's smile curved slowly. "A perfect test. How loyal are they to principle? How willing to bend to persuasion? I must see if their ethics can be exploited, or if their presence can be harnessed to tip the war in my favor." A discreet transmission was dispatched. "Arrange a secure meeting with the crew's captain," Palpatine instructed the aide. "Make it appear a diplomatic courtesy. Behind closed doors, the question is not of friendship, but obedience, ambition, and moral compromise." Meanwhile, aboard the Enterprise, the crew continued their cautious orbital maneuvers. Kirk's mind was occupied with the immediate tactical needs: droid forces regrouping, Republic cruisers stabilizing, and the subtle interference of the Force affecting phaser efficiency and shield harmonics. Yet a part of his mind, ever intuitive, sensed the larger forces at play: political, strategic, and morally ambiguous. "Captain," Spock said, adjusting a tricorder reading, "I detect a significant increase in energy signature coherence near the Senate sector. It is unlike the Separatists or Republic. This entity is intelligent, manipulative, and potentially dangerous." Kirk nodded. "Palpatine, I suspected as much. Spock, keep sensors locked. Bones, ready the med bays in case diplomacy fails. We might be walking into a lion's den." Troy's empathic insight rippled through the crew. "I sense subtle persuasion, Captain. He is attempting to probe your ethical frameworks even from a distance. Your loyalty to principle will be challenged, though he may not physically confront us yet." Kirk exhaled. "All right, Enterprise. The Prime Directive just got complicated. It's not just about not interfering anymore. It's about surviving the galaxy without losing ourselves." Spock's hand hovered over the console. "Captain, probability of success in negotiation is highly contingent upon maintaining moral integrity while simultaneously demonstrating strength. Any display of fear or exploitation of our ethical code may trigger manipulation attempts." "Then we play it straight," Kirk replied. "Truth, competence, and tactical awareness. Let him see we are formidable, but not a threat to the galaxy unless forced. We tiptoe along the ethical knife edge, Federation style." As the Enterprise moved closer to the rendezvous coordinates, the Republic fleet maintained their orbit. Wary but trusting the crew's previous engagement with the Separatist forces. Clone troopers continued patrols, Phaser support ready but held in check. Jedi maintaining a silent, observant stance. A secure transmission link opened, holographic communication projecting a figure cloaked in shadows, eyes glittering with hidden knowledge. "Captain Kirk?" Palpatine intoned, voice dripping charm and subtle menace. "I am intrigued by your capabilities and by your ethical fortitude. I wish to speak with you privately." Kirk straightened. "We proceed cautiously. No sudden moves. Enterprise crew, maintain readiness. Spock, keep defensive protocols primed. Bones, keep medbays ready. This meeting may be words, but words from a Sith are dangerous weapons." Palpatine's hologram extended a hand, almost invitingly. "I assure you, Captain, your survival and the continued prosperity of your crew are in my consideration. I merely wish to understand your intentions. The galaxy is changing, and your presence is unprecedented. We can be of mutual benefit if trust is established." Kirk's eyes narrowed, gaze steady. "We are explorers. We act by principle, not allegiance. We do not serve dictators or tyrants. Any assistance you offer will be evaluated on its impact on sentient life, not political gain. And make no mistake, I do not negotiate with threats disguised as courtesies." The hologram lingered for a heartbeat longer, a smile touching Palpatine's lips. "Very well, Captain. We shall see how your principles endure. The galaxy tests all in time. Perhaps we will meet in person, where true intentions are revealed." As the transmission ended, the Enterprise crew felt the tension that only Palpatine could induce. Political intrigue, subtle manipulation, and an ethical gauntlet that no tactical proficiency alone could overcome. Kirk turned to his crew, voice calm but firm. "This is the galaxy we've entered. Every choice matters. We survive not just with shields and phasers, but with morality, intelligence, and unwavering adherence to our principles. Enterprise, the game is just beginning." Outside, stars shimmered with the ongoing conflict, droid formations retreating, Republic cruisers regrouping, and the distant shadow of the Sith Lord lingering over every decision. The stakes had moved beyond battle tactics into the realm of manipulation, loyalty, and moral endurance, where even the most competent crew could be tested in ways no Starfleet training could anticipate. In the dimly lit corridors of a remote Jedi archive, Spock stood alone, tricorder scanning the strange artifacts left behind by millennia of force-sensitive civilizations. Most were inert, but one in particular, an obsidian holocron, etched with pulsating red lines, emitted a subtle hum that resonated with a frequency his Vulcan mind recognized as dangerously close to harmonic interference. "Fascinating," Spock murmured, circling the artifact. "Energy signature atypical, yet coherent. Not merely technological, this resonates with a force field unlike anything I have previously encountered." Troy's voice echoed through the ship's communicator. "Spock, I sense unease in your readings. The artifact is influential. Its energy interacts with your mental processes, not through coercion, but subtle emotional manipulation." Spock paused, hands hovering above the console. Logic battled sensation. His mind, disciplined and precise, normally resisted emotional intrusion. But here, in a galaxy permeated by the Force, subtle currents of dark side energy tugged at the edges of perception, challenging his unwavering rationality. "Captain," Spock transmitted, "artifact demonstrates a capacity to influence cognitive patterns. Probability of compromised judgment, moderate if unattended, suggesting a controlled containment procedure is advisable prior to further study." Kirk's voice came back calm, but with sharp concern. "Understood, Spock, but be careful. Don't let curiosity override protocol. That thing isn't a scientific specimen. It's a weapon designed to manipulate intent." Spock's eyes, usually serene pools of Vulcan composure flickered with internal tension. He focused on the tricorder readings, attempting to separate energy resonance from emotional distortion. Yet the artifact pressed against his logic with invisible weight, teasing gaps in his reasoning, suggesting alternate conclusions, moral compromises, and decisions he had never contemplated. McCoy's voice cut in, clipped with worry. "Vulcan, step away. I don't care if it's scientific curiosity. Your brain is trying to outwit you, and it's not going to win. Leave it alone." But Spock could not immediately disengage. The artifact's patterns fascinated him. Even Vulcan logic found the problem intriguing. An energy field capable of influencing decisions without overt coercion, bypassing conventional neurological safeguards, and subtly integrating with moral reasoning. An alien phenomenon beyond mere science. "Spock, listen to me," Kirk urged, his voice firm. "Contain it. Record what you can safely, but do not let it manipulate your choices. Your duty to this crew and the galaxy is greater than any curiosity." Vulcan control wrestled with dark side insinuation. Images flickered, possible outcomes, compromises, and choices the artifact implied. What if subtle intervention saved thousands but violated Starfleet principles? Could logic justify bending morality under such pressure? The artifact pressed relentlessly, probing ethical boundaries and cognitive patterns. Finally, with a deliberate exhale, Spock engaged a containment field around the holocron, tricorder projections, forming a translucent cage of energy. He stepped back, fingers interlaced behind his back, breathing regulated. Containment achieved. Influence mitigated. Emotional manipulation noted, but countermeasures successful. However, Captain, I recommend ongoing monitoring. Artifact possesses insidious qualities that merit extended observation and analysis. Troy's empathic voice softened. "I sense relief, Spock. You resisted the pull of the dark side, but the encounter has left subtle reverberations. You must remain vigilant." Kirk exhaled, rubbing his temples. "That's one close call we don't need repeating. The galaxy has more than physical threats. Moral and psychological ones can be just as lethal. Enterprise crew, this is why caution is our greatest weapon." Outside the archive, the stars glittered in orbit, serene in appearance but chaotic beneath the surface. Palpatine's machinations continued to unfold, Separatist remnants recalibrated after orbital losses, and the Republic fleet readied for the next wave of engagement. Yet within the Enterprise, the real test had been internal. Logic, morality, and mental resilience had been confronted in a way that no phaser, shield, or tactical maneuver could replicate. Spock returned to the bridge, his expression calm but contemplative. "Captain, the artifact has been secured. Analysis suggests that similar objects may exist throughout this galaxy. While currently contained, the potential for influence on our crew or allied personnel remains significant. Preventive measures must be prioritized in ongoing operations." Kirk nodded. "Agreed. This galaxy doesn't just test what we can do, it tests who we are. And right now, the crew's integrity is as important as our shields or weapons. Spock, excellent work. McCoy, let's hope there's no more surprises like this." Bones muttered under his breath. "I swear, Captain, I did not sign up for a galaxy where logic itself is under attack." Troy smiled faintly through the communicator. "And yet, Doctor, this is exactly the challenge that will define our presence here. Moral resilience, intellectual discipline, and ethical clarity are weapons as potent as any phaser." Kirk's gaze swept over the bridge. "Enterprise, we adapt, we survive, and we stay true to who we are. The Force may influence this galaxy, but we'll prove that intelligence, principle, and discipline matter just as much." The waters of Camino churned beneath the Enterprise's orbital viewports, heaving like a living ocean under the weight of the storm. Lightning forked across the endless clouds, illuminating the long white cloning spires that rose out of the sea like skeletal fingers. From above, the world looked both clinical and tragic, a planet engineered for one purpose, mass-producing sentient lives destined for war. Kirk stood at the center of the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, gaze fixed on the storm-racked planet. "Spock," he said quietly, "I want full scans of the Separatist approach vectors. I want to know what's coming before it reaches the atmosphere." Spock's fingers moved with smooth precision across the science console. "Multiple capital vessels approaching, Captain. Droid starfighter deployment anticipated within 2 minutes. Their trajectory indicates concentrated bombardment of Kamino's central cloning infrastructure. Separatist strategic intent. Crippling production capacity." McCoy looked up from the medical console, jaw tight. "They're not hitting military targets. They're hitting a factory that makes living men." Kirk didn't answer immediately. On the main viewer, the first Separatist cruisers slipped from hyperspace, casting long shadows across the rain-churned oceans. "Bones," he finally replied. "That factory is the war." Troy's voice carried through the comm system, quiet and heavy. "Captain, I feel them." She paused. "The clones, they're afraid. Many of them understand exactly what they are, property, and yet they're still willing to fight." Kirk clenched his fist, then relaxed it. "Which is why we don't let them die as numbers on a production line." He turned sharply. "Spock, optimal phaser engagement zones." "Calculated," Spock replied. "We can neutralize Separatist starfighters with minimal atmospheric disturbance. However, Captain, the presence of intense force fluctuations indicates imminent Jedi engagement. Their unpredictability increases tactical variance by 23%. "Understood," Kirk said. "We work around the force, not through it." The first wave of droid starfighters screamed downward through the clouds, their wings slicing the rain like knives. Republic gunships surged upward to meet them, blaster fire streaking the sky in red and blue threads of light. A Venator-class cruiser listed under fire, its shields flaring brilliantly before stabilizing again. Kirk gave the order without hesitation. "Engage phasers. Surgical strikes only. Disable engines and weapons. Avoid detonations near the facilities. We're here to save lives, not to rewrite this war." The Enterprise responded like a living organism. Phaser beams lanced outward, cutting through droid formations with eerie precision. Rather than explode, the starfighters sputtered, spiraled off course, and plunged harmlessly into the sea. The Republic fleet adjusted instantly, taking advantage of the sudden disruption. Yet the moral conflict pressed harder than the tactical one. McCoy stepped closer to Kirk. "Jim, we're defending the very infrastructure that manufactures human beings to be soldiers. Are we preserving life, or preserving the machine that exploits it?" Kirk stared at the storm-bound world, feeling the question hit deeper than the battlefield below. "The Prime Directive doesn't cover this," he said quietly. "No," McCoy replied, voice thick. "This is beyond the directive. This is about conscience." Troy spoke again. "They don't see themselves as victims. They see themselves as necessary." "That," McCoy muttered, "is what frightens me." A sudden surge rippled through the sensors. "Captain," Spock said sharply, "massive atmospheric disturbance detected. Force signature indicates Jedi intervention at the primary facility. I advise maintaining orbital suppression while avoiding direct interference with Jedi operations." "Do it," Kirk answered. "We're the silent partner today." On screen, blue lightsabers flashed to life among the rain and wind. Jedi cut through battle droids with flowing motion, clones advancing in tight formations beside them. Troopers fell. Others took their places without hesitation, too quickly, too obediently. Kirk felt it in his chest. This wasn't war. This was production. A secure transmission burst onto the bridge. Palpatine's hologram appeared, calm and benign as ever, his voice smooth as polished stone. "Captain Kirk," he said, "your assistance today has preserved countless lives. You are truly an ally to peace." Kirk's eyes hardened instantly. "We are allies to life, Chancellor," he replied. "Peace is something men like you twist." Palpatine's expression did not change, but something behind it tightened. "Every decision," the Sith Lord murmured, "carries unintended consequences. Ethical purity can be costly. You may learn that, Captain." The transmission cut. Silence lingered for a heartbeat. Then the next wave came. Droid bombers screamed downward, targeting the cloning vats themselves. Clone children, accelerated, unknowing, were below. "Spock!" Kirk snapped. "Trajectory locked," Spock replied calmly. "Firing." The Enterprise lit the sky. Bombers fell. Not one reached the vats. Republic forces rallied. The Separatist offensive broke, not by overwhelming power, but by intelligent disruption. Within minutes, the battle began to collapse into retreat patterns programmed deep in droid command logic. On the bridge, the tension slowly ebbed. "The field is secure," Spock stated. "Clone casualty rates significantly reduced. Separatist withdrawal underway." Kirk exhaled. McCoy didn't celebrate. He stared at Camino. "They'll keep doing it," he said softly. "Growing men in tanks. Sending them to die." Kirk nodded slowly. "I know," Troy whispered. "And yet, many are grateful simply to live at all." Kirk straightened, voice firm now, not resigned, but resolved. "Then we honor that life. Every single one. We don't get to rewrite this galaxy, Bones, but we damn well refuse to make it worse." The Enterprise turned in orbit, storm clouds roiling beneath it, white towers gleaming through sheets of rain, a world built to manufacture soldiers, preserved by the intervention of explorers from another galaxy who could neither condone nor abandon it. The Clone Wars raged on, but today, fewer names were erased before they were ever given, and that mattered. The orbit of Coruscant glowed like a jeweled halo beneath the Enterprise, city lights wrapping the planet in a luminous web. Endless traffic lanes glimmered as streams of ships moved in precise patterns, unaware that the fate of the galaxy had shifted by degrees, subtle, invisible, but very real. On the bridge, the air felt heavier than after any battle, not from exhaustion, but from decision. Kirk stood at the center of it, hands resting on the command chair, eyes fixed on the world below. "Status report," he said quietly. Spock's voice came steady, analytical. "Republic forces are stabilizing across the core systems. Separatist offensive capabilities have been diminished, though not eliminated, by the Camino engagement. Palpatine's political influence remains substantial." There was the understatement. McCoy folded his arms. "Substantial? He practically owns this place. Senate, Army, media. You name it." Troy's voice came softly through the communicator. "And the fear, Captain. That is what he owns most completely." Kirk said nothing for a long moment. The truth of it was uncomfortably familiar. Different galaxy, same pattern. Power concentrated around a man who presented himself as necessary. Finally, he spoke. He wanted to see what we would do, whether we would break our principles, whether we could be frightened or tempted. He exhaled. We gave him his answer. A secure channel opened without request. Palpatine's hologram appeared again, calm, hooded in dignity, radiating grandfatherly warmth that somehow felt colder than the void. "Captain Kirk," he said, voice smooth and restrained, "you have demonstrated admirable restraint. You preserved lives. You intervened only when necessary. Truly, the galaxy could use more commanders of your philosophy." Kirk didn't sit. "If that's praise, Chancellor, it rings hollow from a man who manufactures war." The faintest flicker crossed Palpatine's expression. Not anger, but amusement. "We all manufacture something, Captain. You manufacture ideals. Others manufacture order. History will determine which is more durable. Spock stepped forward slightly. Chancellor, our presence here has become a destabilizing variable. We intend to withdraw before further entanglement skews political equilibrium beyond repair. Palpatine inclined his head. As you wish. But understand this. Your presence has already changed much. Some Jedi now question their restraint. Some senators question their obedience. Some clones question their purpose. His eyes glinted. Ripples, Captain. Even the smallest stone disturbs the pond. The hologram vanished. For a moment, only the hum of the bridge remained. McCoy let out a slow breath. He's right about one thing. We've changed things. Maybe saved lives today. But tomorrow? He shook his head. This galaxy is walking toward something terrible, Jim. I can feel it. Troy spoke softly. Yes. And yet, there is hope. Threads of resistance, conscience, doubt. You strengthened them. Kirk finally sat. He looked around at his crew, the people he trusted more than any doctrine or law. The Prime Directive says non-interference. He gestured toward the world below. But what happens when everything is interference? When existing is interference? We never meant to come here, but we did. And once here, we could not pretend not to see. Spock folded his hands behind his back. A purely observational posture would have resulted in increased casualties and potential genocide. Logic supports limited intervention guided by preservation of life rather than alteration of political structures. McCoy smirked faintly. Leave it to a Vulcan to make conscience sound like math. Kirk straightened. Then here is our new directive. Unofficial, unwritten, but ours. The bridge fell silent. We do not play gods. We do not choose who wins wars. We do not rewrite civilizations. But wherever we are, we protect life. We expose deception when we can do so without catastrophe. And we never surrender our ethics to convenience or fear. He paused, owning the weight of it. That is how the Federation walks in someone else's galaxy. Outside the viewport, a Republic cruiser slid past, lights twinkling in the darkness. Somewhere aboard were clones who had lived because of the Enterprise's precision. Somewhere below, Jedi wrestled with doubt and duty. And somewhere in the shadows, a Sith Lord adjusted his plans. Spock turned to his console. Captain, I have reconstructed the warp field trajectory that originally displaced us into this galaxy. A controlled re-entry into our native quantum framework is possible, with acceptable risk. Kirk smiled slightly. Acceptable risk was Starfleet language for, this could kill us, but it probably won't. Do it. The ship shifted. Power conduits thrummed. The familiar vibration of the warp engines rose, harmonizing with something deeper, like space itself remembering the path between realities. Troy's voice whispered across the comm. They will remember you, Captain, not as conquerors, not as saviors, as witnesses who refused to turn away. McCoy grumbled, but there was warmth beneath it. Let's just hope they remember us as gone, too. Stars elongated into threads of light. The galaxy blurred, folded, and fell away. For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then the Enterprise burst through the rift into the darkness of normal space. Home, or close enough. Kirk leaned back slowly. No cheers, no music, just relief, and the quiet realization that some journeys never really end when the engines shut down. Spock, he said, confirm location. Spock nodded. Star positions match Federation records. We have returned. Kirk allowed himself a final thought of the other galaxy, of storms over Camino, blades of light on rain-slick platforms, clones marching with too much courage for men never given a choice, and a hooded figure smiling in shadows. He looked ahead. Helm, he said softly. Set course. The stars waited. The Enterprise moved toward them, and somewhere far away, in a galaxy they had left behind, The ripples they created continued to spread. Unseen, unstoppable, a quiet testament that principles travel farther than ships ever can.